Hello, I'm Nigel Jones and this is a word-by-word production. Today in this video we're going to be looking at a very big question. Where do we go when we die? And in amongst that question we're going to also look at some other questions. Does God really exist? If God really exists, why is there so much evil in the world? And if God is supposed to be a loving God, why does he say if we don't do everything he says and ask for forgiveness for everything we do, we'll go to hell? Well, in this video we're going to be looking at some of those questions and some of the reasons why we don't believe and some of the reasons why we do believe. So here we go. Where do we go when we die? Years ago in the UK when we went on holidays, my experience of holidays, like many other people's, would have been family holidays, and probably the majority of them would have been in England. And the way we got there would have varied: train, coach or car if you're lucky enough to be able to afford a car. Very few people had flown, and much to quite my later life even, I know people who still have never flown, never been on a cruise ship. There are experiences of travel that people haven't done and can only go on what other people say. They just haven't done it. But generally speaking, and that's what a lot of what we're going to share today is going to have to be a general understanding, because there are always exceptions and there's always arguments and there's always people who go and say, well, I don't agree with that, and that's fair enough. That's exactly what these studies are about, helping you understand where you are and why you're in that place with your thinking. So I remember going on holiday, and the journey could create some interesting conversations when one was driving, the father was driving, mother was co-driving, in the sense of telling him if he was doing something wrong even if he wasn't, and predominantly holding the map, saying, well, they've got to go here and there and whatever, and if they've done any preparation before that, they will also have jotted down on some paper where the next heading is, which the next either city or village or place we're going to, and once you got there that was ticked off and off we go to the other, and eventually we would get there, we would get to where we were going. We were on holiday, and of course when you're on holiday then you've got all the other added interests of finding places to go around when you're there. But for the moment we've done it, we have arrived on holiday. And yes, we had some maps, and yes, we had the car and we got there, but there's a lot more to get in there than just maps, a good idea and a car to get there. So what are the important things that happened before we went that helped us to get there? So let's just have a look at those now and see what would need to be in place for us to actually go on holiday. When something becomes historical, it generally means it's happened and someone else has done it before us. And of course, when we go on holiday, that's certainly the case. We very rarely are the first person to ever go to that place. Someone's been there before us. So what actually happens now is there are infrastructures put in that help us get there. We've got the means, the car, the money to travel and whatever else we need, all our baggage and everything there. But if we walk out the front door and in front of our house there's a great big ocean or a river and we can't get past it, we'd be a bit stuck, wouldn't we? So there's an infrastructure in, and everywhere in the world, wherever you're listening from now, there are infrastructures put in. Now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit now. So we've moved on from perhaps just travelling down to the coast in our cars or whatever, in a way, to be able to go anywhere in the world. And it's going to be the same principle. If someone's been there and someone else wants to journey afterwards, it's got to be made as easy as possible for people to get there. And the way we do that, I'll go back to our little one going down to the coast because it's easy to explain, but this is relevant to anywhere in the world. The way we get there by these infrastructures are roads. We need a road to put the car on to drive, and sometimes nowadays, as we well know, a highway, a motorway, whatever it is, and that will be a very fast way of getting from A to B, albeit it's not everyone's cup of tea, because it's very often not overly scenic, and it is very fast, and it just gets you there and back. Personally, I like to enjoy my trip to holiday as part of the holiday, so I would go the country lane way, as they say. But whatever means you choose, there is an infrastructure which allows us to get there. And of course, on these roads as we go in there are other things often needed. If you're going on an hour journey, you might not need some of them, but if you're going on a 3, 4 hour, 5 hour, 6 hour, 7 hour journey from one place to another, you may need to stop to fill the car up. You certainly need to rest. I'm sure you need a break, stretch the limbs, have something to eat, have something to drink. So there's going to be places to stop and eat and refresh and get refreshed for carrying on the journey. So all these infrastructures are built in because of what's happened before. People's experiences of a journey encourage these infrastructures to be built to make it easier for people to go on the journey. And that's exactly what we do. And that would be exactly the same principle if we got into a car, a taxi, or our own car, or perhaps on a coach and went to the airport. Where we get to the airport, we get on a plane to the destination. Wherever in the world nowadays we're going, you would land at the airport. Another part of the infrastructure, the airports. And when we're at the airport, the holiday place we're going to isn't going to just be across the road. It might be unlikely. It's going to be quite a few miles away. So we need some way of getting from the airport to our own homes, and 99 times, if not more, out of 100, we're not in our own cars, they're back home. So we'll have a coach or a taxi or some other means to get from one place to another. And I think you can see where we're going from here. Every kind of journey we go on, there is an infrastructure built into it. The infrastructure has to be a historical thing. Experience tells us we need this in place to get people from one place to another. And that's everything. If we're going on a cruise, if we're flying, if we're going on a hot air balloon, whatever kind of transport or journey you can think of going on, those infrastructures have to be in. Unless, of course, it's somewhere you've never been to. And even then you'll get part of the way. You may not know what the end place is like, but if you were going to the North Pole, and I was starting from where I am here in Birmingham in the UK, if I was starting here, I would go so far by the infrastructure that's built in, by the understanding how to get there, until we get to a point where I've never been before, but perhaps other people have, and there's some lesser infrastructure, but it's just about there to get us where we're going. And maybe eventually we're looking at somewhere no one's ever been here before. And if no one's ever been here before and you're the first person, then this is quite an extraordinary situation to be in, because until you go back and tell others about where you've been, nobody else knows. I used to do wood turning many years ago, and one of the greatest gifts I think I had in there was when a tree was cut down. I rarely cut a tree down myself because I thought I didn't like doing that if the tree was okay, but if one had died and there was some good wood on there, when I took the bark off that tree and saw the wood underneath, I was the first person on this planet to see that. And that was an incredible privilege. And that goes on in our life with many, many a times that we have experiences. It's the first time it's been done, when world records are broken, all these sort of things. How do you feel you're the new record holder? Only that person can explain it. I'm talking here to you now and can also feel and sense where this is coming into our study about where do we go when we die. Has anyone been there? Is there a place? How do we know it's there? Has someone come back and told us about it? Well, let's find out now for ourselves.